I mean, the organization, right? That's the first problem that comes up. So that's really about how do you structure your org chart in the end and the responsibilities. But after that, of course, there are more problems that a software like ours can address nicely. And the one important thing that everyone, I think, knows about and is worried about when it comes to migrating to the cloud is the topic of security. So if you give more responsibility to developers that are building their applications, if IT scales in general across the organization, how are you going to make sure that your applications will be secure or that your infrastructure is secure? And that's one of the challenges that we also tackle with our platform. So in that area, one best practice or the thing to do, the way to go basically is to build a so-called landing zone. So the landing zone kind of pre-configures your cloud environment. It comes with some basic policies that already define kind of a base security layer to make sure that you prevent bad things from happening. So these can be things like, okay, I'm a European company. I don't want my people to deploy a workload outside of Europe. So I can enforce a policy that makes sure that this happens. Or certain services shouldn't be allowed. I can basically enforce another policy that makes sure that certain services are blacklisted within the cloud provider. So in that way, I have a preventative approach to securing cloud environments, and I can roll out these landing zones with our platform mesh stack. And then once you kind of get across the security challenge and you have your setup and people basically start learning how to use the cloud and they start adopting the cloud, at some point what usually happens is that you do not have enough resources, right? I mean, we know that there's not enough cloud engineers on the planet for all of us. So the question is, how can you make your setup scalable? How can you make sure that your IT is not the bottleneck and that it's not blocking you from actually kind of entering new markets or bringing applications to market? And that's the second part that is really important to us to tackle this operations challenge that large organizations have. And one of the ways to do that is to provide self-service, right? If you don't have to interact with every application team that is moving to the cloud, you have the possibility to scale much better than if you have to kind of take care of each application individually. So providing a self-service portal is one of the key features and one of the key capabilities our platform brings, and it really enables a smooth way of collaboration between central IT, or central, we call it a cloud foundation team, and different application teams across the organization.
That is good. And as you mentioned about the compliance, because I know like these days there are like a lot of things in the cloud, like new softwares, new tools, and basically just to cope up with that, it is very difficult. Plus on top of that, like if you are developing in a European market, then you have to keep that in mind of the GDPR compliance, like the data protection, all these stuff. Like it can be, very hectic for someone, a data engineer as well. So that is good that your platform by default bootstraps some of the compliance with it, so they cannot do wrong. So that is, I would say, like a very useful feature you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, right, that people think about that early on, and that they can come up with a way that doesn't hold them back from actually building applications in the cloud. And I think one of the misconceptions that are often out there in the market is that it might be less secure, but actually the security capabilities of the cloud are very strong. So if you leverage that and if you use it in a meaningful way, you have much better possibilities to secure your applications and your infrastructure than you might have had before in a data center.